Welcome back, friendly ghosts. Today we have a little bit of Legend of Dragoon news. Not too much, but enough to be reported on for sure. There have been multiple interviews by Sony Interactive Entertainment's president, Sohei Yoshida. Forgive me, I butchered that name. During Tokyo Game Show 2019, where he has been discussing various things including PlayStation VR, and they have a new project from Sony Interactive Computer Entertainment. But let's get to the main point that we want to talk about is Legend of Dragoon, and apparently in the Geek Culture article. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Geek Culture. I've never heard of it, but apparently in this Geek Culture article, he sets down the rumors that there is a Legend of Dragoon project in the works. Now we're going to skip immediately down to that part. Let me find it real quick. Okay. So they're talking about how powerful single player games have been, one of their strong suits, and then he comes in and he says they won't be following the trends of today's gaming culture, and how they are strong with single player games, and that's kind of their narrative, and they want to stick to that. And at most they would go to doing remakes, as such along the lines of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and which he states, I am a big fan of remakes, but it is not easy and it takes a lot of effort and respect to the original. Yoshida addresses in response to the word of a Legend of Dragoon remake floating around the community, which he is the producer. He was the producer for Legend of Dragoon. And explaining how outdated turn-based mechanics and real-time commands may not fall in favor with the taste of today's current gamers. He confirmed that Dart's story has indeed been brought to an end, for now at least. The prospects of a remake and remasters and reboots, however, remain an attractive and tempting venture. So it remains something that he is tempted to do. For the man himself, Ape Escape was one title that he would like to bring back from the past. Few people like Ape Escape, he says with a laugh, but I was the producer of it was my very first title, which I was most involved in, so I have a sense of attachment to it. That does not mean Legend of Dragoon has gone neglected. In fact, he continues to harbor a soft spot for it. Now that concludes the mentioning of Legend of Dragoon in this article, when he says, you see the part where he says, it kind of says that it's not happening, and he's a big fan of it, but it takes a lot of respect. He kind of says it, but at the same time, as a second glance going through this, I became more optimistic. He doesn't outright say that it's never going to happen, or that it's not happening, or that he just states that it's something that they're not doing. He's a big fan of remakes. It takes a lot of effort and respect for the original, and he says that the turn-based and real-time commands may not fall in favor of today's current day gamers. He says that his dark story has been brought to an end, for now at least. And that is the only part that is saying, it's come to an end. That is the only part. It does not exactly state that it is not in line for a remaster. He just says that dark story has been brought to an end. We know there's not going to be a sequel. We don't want a sequel. Nobody wants a sequel. At most, people want a prequel, but also, at the most, and at least, we want a remaster and remake. So he doesn't exactly say that it's not happening or it's not going to happen. But if we were to take this article as 100% face value, as 100% accurate, that Geek Culture is 100% accurate with this article, because I looked for this interview or statement everywhere else, and this is the only place that has this specific statement. They say it's an exclusive interview for Geek Culture, and I don't know how much value to put into it or how much credibility to put into it, but if we were to give it 100% credibility, I'm more optimistic about this now than I was before, because not only does he say that it's not going to happen, but he says that it's something he wants to do. And he says that the reason why he's skeptical of doing it is because turn-based mechanics in today's culture, we know that. A lot of companies have been saying that turn-based is out these days. Final Fantasy turn-based is out these days. But he also states that if there were to be a remake, it's not only going to take a lot of money, it's going to take a lot of time and effort, but he wants it to have a lot of respect for the original game. Now we're going to take that and we're going to go to another article that I've stumbled across. And let's just mention this, that Bluepoint has never been with Sony. They have never been a Sony company. They go about all over the place. They do Xbox remake remasters. They dabble around. Games get sent to them. Games get outsourced to Bluepoint, in which they do it and they try to make a remaster out of it or do whatever they want to do to it. Bring it to today's current day and age. But here's something that stands out to me in reference to Yoshida's statement that he wants the game to have respect for the original game. Now this is a statement from Bluepoint's president, Thrust. That's a sick name, Thrust. Okay, so here's a statement by Bluepoint president. We only work on games that we actually want to work on, Thrust says. On occasion, a game that Bluepoint has to turn down gets ported by a studio that, in Bluepoint's opinion, produces a suboptimal product. Sometimes the reason why we work on so hard on these games is because we don't want to mess it up. He says a different word. We don't want to mess it up for ourselves as gamers. Like, we envy these games. We would want to see this game done justice. It hurts me seeing companies just taking it and basically doing it for the money. Without optimization, a remaster release can make games look and play worse, as high resolutions call attention to the lack of detail in the original assets. And it goes on to mention these poorly remastered games, and the highlight of it is Silent Hill HD Collection. Here's another telling bit. The little things seem to bother Bluepoint as much as those major oversights. President Thrust cites an unnamed game that originally ran in a 4:3 aspect ratio, with black bars at the top and bottom borders of the screen during cinematics. With the Rary Scorn and the ITOwl lamenting a muddy mix of the re-released album, he describes how the remastered edition, which added support for widescreen displays, neglected to extend the black bars all the way to the left and right sides of the screen. While certain black bars might not have been a glaring restoration sin, as say infamously defacing a certain fresco, Thrust regards the oversight as emblematic of an attitude that is, the word I don't know how to pronounce, to his team. It's just, you don't even care, he says. It's not respecting the original source material, all the hard work that the original developers poured into the game. Each new source that Bluepoint imports presents the studio with the distinct demands. It goes on to mention a couple games. We have the core technologies and process that we carry from game to game, but the minute you start a new game, it throws a wrench at the whole cycle, Peter Dalton says. Bluepoint's first task, Dalton says, is to tear it apart. So the first thing they do is they tear apart the code, the source code that they get sent. They get outsourced these games and they try to tear apart the code. And the second thing, they try to modify it to fit current day consoles. And it goes on to talk about things like that and how they don't want to they're partners with these people that are outsourcing the games to them for them to do these remasters and remakes. And at least that's my understanding of it. They're partners, and they don't want to call up these guys that they're partner with, these companies, these big name companies, and say, hey, could you help me out with these codes? So, help me decipher these codes, so I can get this done. They don't want to call and do that, because doing that would kind of be detrimental and like neglecting the reason that they got outsourced the game to begin with. Why would the company outsource them these games if they have to help them out and to do it? So they say they don't want to sour the relationship by having to depend on these companies. The reason why they're so reliable and why their business is popping basically is that they're very independent and then dependable. So independent and dependable, and they can get it done, and that's why they have such good relationships with Sony and these other companies. And so they get these games, and they have to just kind of select the games that they want to do. They don't just do a game just for the fun of it, or just for the heck of it. They do it for the fun of it, obviously. They don't just do it just for the heck of it. They do it because it's something that they're passionate about, something that they want to do, and something that they know that they can put the proper amount of respect into doing it. And just for me personally, Shadow of the Colossus is the greatest remake of all time, hands down. Like, I've never really heard of Shadow of the Colossus. Like, I've seen it. I'm pretty sure I've seen it during my day. As a gamer, there's no way that I haven't seen it. But I've never really paid much attention to it until the remake came about. And it caught my eye, and I started looking into the original and seeing comparisons of the remake and the original. I've been seeing that for years, and I've been keeping tabs on it. And I knew nothing about the game, but I was intrigued by it, and I was just intrigued by how much passion went into that project. And I was just in awe by it, and I just kept following it, and I eventually got the game, even though I don't know much about it. But that it pulled me in. Seeing the passion for that, it pulled me in to a game that I knew nothing about, that I probably wouldn't have played otherwise. I don't doubt any word that they are saying here. I believe every single piece from this article. Yeah, so that's basically the gist of everything in this piece. Is that they see remakes and remasters that they're doing as a bit of artwork. It's like that's something that they're saying later here, that it's like a painting, and they're studying the art form of painting, and doing this stuff, they're just getting real artistical and all that jazz. So, and that's the main thing I wanted to point out, is that the main reason apparently there hasn't been a remake or remaster of Legend of Dragoon is that they're afraid of the turn-based mechanics. They're afraid of the addition system in today's culture, and obviously it's time consuming, but also they want it to have the respect of the original game. They don't want to just do it just for the heck of it. They want it to be authentic. And apparently there hasn't been any reason to believe that it could be done. But now that we have Final Fantasy VII remakes coming about, we have Final Fantasy VIII remasters coming out, we have the best remake of all time just a year ago from Sony Interactive Entertainment's own cesspool of games. And we have Bluepoint who did it. We have Bluepoint expressing interest and love for Legend of Dragoon. We have them being the reason for the best remake of all time, and we have them saying that, hey, the only reason we work on a project is because we want to work on it. If we choose a project, we want to work on it. We don't do projects that we don't have interest in. We want to make it authentic. We want to respect the original. We want to, make this piece of art. And so with that, I say that it seems almost like a perfect fit, you know, for this to happen. Obviously it's dream thinking that, you know, a company that is so respectful and appreciates art like this does want to do, you know, this project, but it's not saying that it's happening because there's a lot of variables in this. And I'm just saying that at first glance the Geek Culture article says that you come off like, hey, he's kind of confirming that nothing's happening, and at second glance it's like, oh well, he didn't exactly say it isn't happening. He just says these are the reasons why you know, he's afraid of it happening and what he would like to have it happen, you know, with respect. And it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of resources, obviously. And then on the flip side, you say Bluepoint, you know, one of them, of their members at least, love the game. You know, we know that they put a lot of love and respect into these games, and they pay a lot of attention to detail. We know they're trustworthy and dependable. We know they have a great relationship with Sony Interactive Entertainment. And they just came off of putting out the greatest remake of all time. Of probably one of the best games of all time. You know, that's up to your opinion, but definitely one of the best artistic games of all time. So there's no doubt in my mind that if they were to get a hand on it, that they would make this quite possibly better than the original Legend of Dragoon. And quite possibly, if it were to happen, quite possibly would be better or on par with Final Fantasy VII Remake. And Final Fantasy VII Remake hasn't even happened, but we all know it's going to be a hit. We all know that the name is going to carry it to being a hit. And we all know that it's an uphill battle. It doesn't have to be a battle. They're not combating. I'm just saying that, you know, success rate and love rate, you know, and in today's current media, you put a game out there that's a hit, that's attractive, that's just passionate in, and you got Bluepoint in, who just made the greatest remake of all time. They got Shadow of the Colossus name behind them. They got God of War name behind them. They got, you know, Demon Souls rumors around him. You know, the game is going to get buzz. It's going to get a lot of buzz. You know, so that's basically all I wanted to talk about. And President Yoshida, his game he really wants to do is Ape Escape. Other than that, they're working on a project. We don't know what that is. Bluepoint is working on a project. We don't know what that is. All we know is that it's a remake of a classic, quite possibly a PlayStation classic. We know it's going to have armor assets. It's going to have weapon assets. That's all we know. We know nothing else. Nothing else is out there. Absolutely nothing else. I am keeping up to date with this as much as I possibly can, so we'll just see what comes with it. There's a PlayStation exclusive event coming up in December. I believe it's called Sony Exclusive or PlayStation Exclusive or the Sony Experience, something along those lines. It's coming up in December. Legend of Dragoon's 20th year anniversary is also in December the 5th. We'll see what happens. And with that, now I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to show you this little goodie stuff. You know, I bought some couple of stuff and try to do some remastering of my own, and I still need to acquire some tools in order to make this, you know, a bit more authentic and reliable. But I'm going to show you guys some screenshots and some comparisons of my own attempt at remastering Legend of Dragoon. I came close. I'm not quite sure if you can say, you know, it's qualified, but you know, I gave it a good run for it, and I'm gonna show you guys and let you guys have at it. And until then, this is ITOwl. Pieces, those. I screwed that outro out so bad. Screwed it up so bad. Oh, this is ITOwl, and If you love my content, be sure to show some love. You know, show some love to the people you want to show some love to. Not necessarily just me, but the people who you respect and want to show love to. You know, don't be afraid to do that, you know. And this is ITOwl. May peace be with. Always keep your head up. Adios, dos, bos, deuces, and stay cool.